Hey, what's up? This is my new YouTube channel. What I wanted to talk about in this video, right, is a flawed creationist argument where they say something along the lines of like, if you were walking down the beach one day and you found a watch on the ground, you would never guess that the watch formed naturally. You would be sure that it has a designer. So it's the same with living things. Well, okay, so watches do not this is the thing. For starters, watches do not grow and develop like how living things do, and they do not reproduce, right? Watches do not start out microscopic in size and then gradually grow and develop to the state that they are now, and they do not self-replicate, create more watches, right? In the case of humans and other living things, we start out microscopic in size, right? Single cell, and then we gradually grow and develop, right? To our current form, right? You start out microscopic in size and very differently formed from how you are now, right? Then you gradually grow and develop. We observe that happen, right? We know of natural things that have to occur in order for a new human to form, and we know of natural things which, if altered, it changes the way that a new human forms, right? Same with other living things, right? And so whether or not humans, the fact that humans and other living things can form naturally is a given. We observe it to happen all the time, right? We observe a gradual process of growth and development. Even when a human becomes fully mature, things like the hair continue to grow back, wounds continue to heal, right? This is very different from how a watch works, right? So, we never observe a watch form naturally. We do observe humans form naturally, right? We observe a gradual process of growth and development for humans, and we know of natural things which have to happen in order for a new human to form, and we know of many, many natural things which, if altered, it alters the way that a new human will form, right? So the fact that humans and other living things can be formed naturally, that's a given, right? What evolutionary biologists have the task of explaining is mainly things on the cellular level, if not the molecular level, right? Most else beyond that is a matter of developmental biology, right? And the formation of the body from single cell to the adult human, it's observed all the time, right? The natural mechanisms through which it happens, right? So what evolutionary biologists have the task of explaining is mainly things on the cellular level, if not the molecular level, not the body of a human. How does a human body form naturally? That's a given. We observe it to form naturally all the time, right? And I mean, some people will think that God is intervening, making it form. But I mean, when it's forming inside of something, right, then God could not form it in the same type of way of how us humans form any machine, right? And so by that point, the way that God forms it will be so foreign to any type of way of designing things that we know of that you may as well accept that it could just be forming naturally. That's what appears to be happening. We know of natural things which have to happen in order for it to form. We know of natural things which, if altered, it changes the way it forms. And many times there are all types of, terrible deformities that a person is born with, right? Some of which that are so bad that it's a death sentence, right? Like the baby can't even survive. Like there's certain conditions where the baby always dies like within 2 hours of birth if they have this birth deformity. So it really, all of the evidence points strongly towards that it's forming naturally. We have no indication of it forming with any type of God intervening, right? And now furthermore, because it takes about for us humans, the baby has to be in the mother for a minimum of 20 weeks, right? And so therefore, it could superficially appear as though all of the development from conception to 20 weeks fundamentally is dependent upon the mother, right? But the reason for it having to stay in that long is because we are placental mammals, right? So with our type of body setup, the baby during that time relies on the mom for certain things like nutrients, right? So it's mainly because of things like that the mother is providing things like nutrients. It isn't because it needs the mother for all of the instructions for the development from conception to 20 weeks. And part of how we know that is that there are other animals that share much of the same fundamental body structure as us humans have, right? But which can leave their mother much earlier than conception, right? Not earlier than conception, much closer to post-conception, right? Like a much shorter time after conception, right? So, for example, chickens, they lay eggs typically about 24 to 26 hours after conception, right? And so all of the development then from 24 hours after conception to the adult bird, all of that is not fundamentally dependent upon the mother, right? And that's in spite of the fact that chickens share most of the same fundamental body structure as us humans, right? Like 4 limbs with the same bones, a spine, a gut with 2 ends, eyes. In fact, they have better eyes than we have. They have a brain, jaws, skull, pelvis, the most of the same fundamental body structure as us, and most of the same developmental in their early stages of development is much the same as us, right? And so that therefore demonstrates that the formation of like the majority of the development from conception to 20 weeks is not fundamentally dependent on the mother, like for giving the instructions for it. It's mainly just that with our current system, the baby has dependency for reasons such as needing nutrients, right? And so, and we also observe things like salamanders, right? They have limbs with all the same bones as us, and they have the capacity to regrow limbs, right? When like one comes off, right? So the fact that these things can form naturally, that's a given. We observe it to happen. You know, we know of like certain genes that, oh, if this gene is mutated in this way, it causes this change in how the baby comes out, right? So it's a given that these things can form naturally. And that's a matter of developmental biology. What evolutionary biologists have the task of explaining is mainly things on the cellular level, if not the molecular level, right? And so it's not a matter of like, how do these body parts form? That's something that we observe happen, right? That's not what evolutionary biologists have to explain. It's what we observe, right? So, yeah, that's all. See you.